And now, part 3 of Miriam Jacobs' 2023 interview. And your deck, from what I've seen, it's so great because the symbols push me to talk about something outside of the definitions of tarot. They push me to talk about the chakra system. They push me to talk about your nervous system or about astrology. And I'm not having to reach all the time. I'm not having to say, oh, I remember this was a deacon of Scorpio, or I remember that this could be put with Saturn, or you don't have to because you have so many symbols on them already. So actually, why don't we start talking about some of these symbols? Because I know there's about, at least the minors, there's like 4 symbols on them, right? There's an astrological symbol. The wands are the fire suit, and the pentacles are the earth suit.
I call them by the elements.
Yeah, I love that. It's like the 5 of wands is the 5 of fire. The 8 of pentacles and the 8 of earth, the 7 of cups is the 7 of water, right? So you already transformed it so that somebody can really attach themselves in an energetic way.
Sure. And this is more discussed in the tarot and the chakras book. So just to back up a little bit, I queried my deck to Schiffer, which is now known as Red Feathers, Mind, Body, Spirit, or at least that aspect of the tarot. And the person at the time who was editing and also looking at who was sending decks and said, we're not going to do the deck, which is understandable because the deck are collages of like tchotchkes, from stores and my friends' apartments and what I had, or, at that point I got obsessed with these photographs and then when I sent it to them and I was still working on the deck, they came back to me and said, we don't want you to do this book, but Peter Schiffer, who owns the company, just wants you to do a book. We don't want to do the deck. We can't do the deck. And we want you to do the book, Tarot and the Chakras. And at that point, it was like, I guess it was like 2012. They're like, do whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah. So I did whatever I wanted and got some great feedback, and and already had published and self-published the deck. And then, but back to your question about the symbols. So the symbols on the major arcana have a chakra. It has a astrological symbol. It has a symbol for whether they're cardinal, fixed, or mutable astrological signs, which relate to at first it was for the type of touch, and later on it goes into what kind of dance, and then the elements, and then the major arcana then has 2 symbols, has a basic one, which were in the deck, they were all ether cards because that was the throat chakra and that was the container for all of them. And later on in the book, it also then, it looks at the astrological, like the magician is Mercury, and Mercury then relates to the air element. So there's 2 elements. When you get into, and this is where, I surprise myself that I'm actually getting intellectual, but in my own way, then the minor arcana has a chakra symbol, and then it has, due to what astrological sign that's in, and then what element what planet it is, and then what type of touch, and then what type of element it is. So all of those symbols and that, I really pared down when I did the deck, because they're like, okay, they're not doing the deck. I'm getting this out there. And then, but those are the minor arcana, but the aces then just have 3 symbols. They just have the type of touch, the chakra, and the element. And then what happened with the court cards is the court cards, and this varies from deck to deck. Like, is the king fire or is he air? And I just chose what resonated with me. So they all have then the chakra of their element. It also then has the type of touch. I just made that the king and knight were all, rocking, in Ayurveda, that's called tamasic, and and then or actually that's rajasic. Sorry, see, I even get it mixed up. And then like the queens then are like slower, and it goes on from there. The pages then are the light or off the body touch. So that's the way that gets laid out, and that's actually came about with more explanation in Tarot and the Chakras book.
So is Tarot and the Chakras book available for people to buy still, or is it?
Yes.
Okay.
The deck at this point is on my website because Amazon just wasn't working for me. And I believe that, there's a couple of stores or online stores that have it, but not very many. And then the books, then the Tarot and the Chakra book is available on my website or available through Schiffer or Amazon or whatever book dealer Schiffer sends it to. I have that in a deck and the book on my website for a discount, but I don't, and then so then moving on back to the component in polarity therapy, which is the yoga-like exercises. I was still being a polarity therapist and being a mind-body person and knowing everything was through, that I process is through my body, and people who come to me process it through their body, is that I really wanted to connect it to movement. So I was thinking about yoga, and I wasn't ready to, I didn't want to take a yoga training program. But, my love of dance just won out.
So let's talk about the chakras in the deck.
Okay.
So you said that the wands are all solar plexus.
Yes.
Is that right? So from ace to the king, that's where you see the solar plexus. So that's where the ego is,
correct,
right? That's where, is that it's thinking as well, or it's I am? Is that why you chose?
That goes along with what the polarity therapy is that that's considered the fire chakra. So can be enthusiasm, it could be ego, it could be frustration, it could be getting out there in the world, and so some of that, or it could also be a body reference for people to go to, or a body worker to go to that place. So there's that.
So then we can talk about the cups. What chakra is for water?
So water is the second chakra, or the sexual chakra.
Okay, so tell me a little bit more about that. It's sexual, and I've also heard it's creative.
Yeah, and some people look at then the fire or wands as being creative. So that's connecting, it's flowing, all of these. It's not like an exact match, just like every tarot deck isn't an exact match. Like sometimes and this elementally isn't either, or chakra-wise, it's not exact. And then it can also relate to physically to astrological Cancer, or to your breasts or feet, which is Pisces. So in order to balance that energy out, it could be another layer of the session, you know, or it could in terms of, oh, here's another guideline for me to connect. I have people pull 4 cards, then those 4 cards I can look at and saying, well, this person is all water. So let's see if they need a little bit of earth, or maybe they need some fire, they need some wand energy to get out of there. So body-wise, I'm going to look at it like that. I'm going to see like, oh, this person has 3 major arcana cards. Well, really just simply, this is a major question that they're asking. They're going to go deeper, or it's bigger than just what's happening in this moment. So I'm going to look at it, in the deck like that. This is something that we're just going to get out of the way so they get out of their heads and help them get into their body.
Well, so swords, which chakra?
Okay,
is sword?
So this is what's really interesting is then the air chakra is your heart chakra. And so, so this is what's really interesting, because not only then could it be a tarot discussion, in polarity classes, it was always like, well, why is the heart chakra your air chakra? And, let's discuss this and tease it out. Like, why is that to you? Or is it that speaking from your heart?
I get it. That makes sense for me. I have a mutual reception between Mercury and Venus in my chart, and I'm also a Libra with an Aries moon. So I have so much I'm trying to communicate or intellectualize, but at the same time, there's so much going on in my heart, or there's so much passion, or there's so much feeling happening or wanting to relate, that I've had to learn how to balance them both together. It's for a long time, it was either, I just go with my head or I just go with my heart. And when I realized they work together, it's made it so much easier for me to be authentic. It's made it so much easier for me to speak from who I am rather than from what I've learned or what I expect myself to be. And so that makes sense. It's almost like if you balance the air in you, or the swords, the conflicts, or the issues in your mind, your heart is getting eased up a little bit, because maybe it has desires or wants that either you won't allow to happen because you're afraid of that, or you don't know the truth of who you are. So you kind of lean more on what you've been told as to who you are, or what you believe is the most important thing, which might be your mind. I mean, look at the 3 of Swords in the typical, I'm not sure if it looks the same in your deck, but it's 3 swords stabbing a heart. They're completely connected to each other. And it makes more sense to me that it would be the heart chakra. I would have expected it, but it makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. I mean, I never looked at it in that way, but I just, in your aha moment, I just learned something.
Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, as above, so below, blessed be.